Hello and welcome to another episode of the Open Metaverse. I'm your host, Mohamed Ezeldin. I'm joined by our co-host, Mehdi Farooq, and the guest of the hour, the day, maybe even the year, Sandeep, CEO and co-founder of Polygon. Great to have you on the show with us today.
Hey, thanks, Mohammed and Mehdi for having me here. Really excited for this talk.
I think we are as well. We've got quite a lot of traction on Twitter as well, so I know it's going to be one of the most listened to podcasts coming out of us. And I guess we'll jump straight in. A man who doesn't really need an introduction for most of the people in the space. But I guess for us to rewind to Polygon, I guess prior to it was Polygon. What were the challenges you were looking to solve when you co-founded Polygon?
So I think before Polygon, I was already building a lot of dApps for like that time. I was working as a kind of to get my hands dirty as a consultant to few people, and one of them I distinctly remember. One of them wanted to build a decentralized, transparent referral service, right? Referral service, like you give your referral link and you do something and all that. And that time itself, like it sounded like a crazy, because at that point in time, 2017, mid 2017, people were just trying to do ICOs for something, right? Like doing something, I'm doing this, and so I did not. I was like, something is wrong. Either this guy doesn't understand that how much scale blockchains have, or what kind of scale Ethereum can take, or there's something wrong with this. But that also, got me into this. That thought process also is that this thing is not ready for mainstream, mass adoption. And whatever I wanted to do it as a, like, I had only one clarity in my mind. Whatever I'm going to do, I want to do it at a world scale, global scale, right? And it seemed to me that, if this is the kind of scalability layer one blockchains are going to have, we won't be able to do something that level, that scale, right? That level of scale. So that's where, like, the scalability was obviously a thing that, this is first, the infrastructure needs to be solved for next 3, 4, 5 years. And that's where, started to know a bit about layer 2 blockchains and whatnot, and met my other co-founders via some, Bitcoin handles and whatnot, and or Bitcoin groups and all that. We met, and then, we jammed on it and decided that, okay, this is what we need to do, because this is what is the need of the hour. People want to build apps, but those apps cannot be built because the scalability is not there.
So I'm aware, in order to solve the scalability issues on Ethereum, you guys are working on multiple different solutions. So I think it would be a good time perhaps for you to kind of walk us through some of the Polygon's product portfolio.
So before, it needs, what Polygon is doing today needs to be, seen through the lens of what is the history of Polygon also. Like before Polygon, we were called MATIC network, right? And at that point in time, we were building this plasma network, right? And we were, we started, like the main 2-3 co-founders were from India. Then we had some more people from outside. But then problem is that nobody believed that, a team which is non-Silicon Valley team will be able to build some protocol like this and all that. And other people raised like tens of millions of dollars. Overall, I think $100 million would have been invested in plasma research. And we received a very big 165K out of that 100 million, right? So only we got investment of 160K. Nobody invested in us. And but then we ended up becoming the only team which delivered the actual functioning plasma in whatever shape of research at that point in time the plasma was. And all these other companies with these heavy funding and all that, they somewhere in the middle, many of them like outright exit scammed, some of them like closed down, shut down, whatever, because the community hype moved away from plasma. Everybody like, oh, by that time is like optimistic rollups. Before plasma, it used to be state channels, then optimistic rollups, then zk rollups, then in future, like, or in between Starks and all that. All those things have been there. So the main lesson for us was that we are fighting to build something which has as big of an impact like Ethereum has today, right? Ethereum kind of an impact we have. We can build, if we wanted to build something, and which we wanted to build something which can stand the test of time, can live for tens of years to come, and you can have tens of, or if not hundreds of millions of users using these platforms. So that time we decided that we have done this mistake, that we went all in on one approach, that plasma is going to be the approach with which we build this scalability. We said we are not going to do that now anymore. We will be like, what is our mission? Our mission is to get mass adoption that will come via this ever growing infrastructure layer of this decentralized compute, right? No matter what technology they are built in. Like today they are plasma, then optimistic, zero validity proofs, and who knows what is going to come in the future. But we detached ourselves from doing one particular approach. We said the market is too early, too immature to put a flag in the sand that no, this is the way will be. That's very too opinionated. We did not want to do that. So that's why we rebranded to Polygon, which essentially means multi approach. And then since then we have been pursuing multiple approach. We believe also, if you see the scalability, like we all are selling this decentralized computation to the developers, right? Like in Web 2, if you go to Web 2, everybody uses centralized computation to build these applications. They use AWS, Google of the world and all that. All of them provide you centralized compute. But when you come to decentralized compute, the compute can have different kind of features to it or parameters to it. So if you are a gaming company which has only 1,000 players playing the game today, probably you don't need Ethereum kind of security, and you don't need to pay $50 for every transaction, right? So that security and your cost is a spectrum. How much security, how much decentralization you need as per the cost, for this. And that spectrum gives you that what kind of solution people want to use. So today we have Polygon POS, which is like mid-level security, some level of Ethereum security built on top of Ethereum, but it is very good for gaming and social use cases. But we are also, almost about to launch Polygon zkEVM, which is fully secured from Ethereum. And then you can build like billion-dollar DeFi use cases and all that over there. Plus, you will also have Polygon has Supernets. So three big things: Supernets, Polygon POS, like Validium kind of solutions, and this like zkEVM. Or you can combine them into public chains. So Supernets are app chains. So app chains, public chains. Public chains are built with these zk secured and all that. Polygon POS chain is currently not secure with that, but we are working hard to make sure that Polygon POS chain also starts getting Ethereum level security. But primarily these are public chains, and then you have app chains. And on app chains, you choose, like using the Polygon Edge framework, you choose what kind of security and decentralization you want. If you are a small game with 1,000 users, you probably just are okay with 2 or 3 validators, right? Even one validator, and you're like, okay, I'll decentralize it, right? Then you become 1 million users. Now probably you need 50 to 100 validators, because your community will shout that this is a freaking like single operator, single node chain. This is not decentralized. So community will push, your business push will take you to some more decentralization. And then eventually, if you become even more successful and you are like 150 million, 20 million users, then you want probably Ethereum level security, and you will convert yourself into a Validium. So Polygon's suit is to allow people to use public chains and app chains, and give you this growth spectrum, that where you launch your chain, app chain, and you can grow from a centralized chain to eventually Ethereum secured chain. That's the product suite. And inside that, all that is technicality. But you should only hear about 2 things: public chains, app chains. That's it.
So Sandeep, I'll be zooming in on that point a bit. So you did mention zkEVM rollups. So one of them being Polygon Hermes. So firstly, just for our non-technical audience, can you tell us what is so special about zkEVM rollups, and also how is Polygon Hermes and some of the other solution based on zkEVM are different from other competitors like Matter Labs or Scroll?
Yeah. So first, let's talk about how zk rollups are better than any other layer 2 technologies currently available, right? So the currently only layer 2 technology available is these optimistic rollups, right? In optimistic rollups, as you can imagine, the name is optimistic. So what you do is you have a layer 1, that is Ethereum chain, and on the layer 2 you have one single operator who is running the chain. And optimistically, everybody is expecting, everybody is assuming that whatever is happening is correct. Let's assume for some time. But what this operator is forced to do is he has to put all the data and the transaction data and proof of whatever is happening here on Ethereum chain. And that's where they use the technology called fraud proofs, because it's optimistic. So you are assuming that everything is correct. But if there is a fraud that happens, then you have things called fraud proof, where somebody can run a check that, okay, you computed this transaction in a wrong way. That means you are acting with malice, and you have to be slashed. You have to pay a heavy penalty and all that, right? But due to that fraud proof, what happens is that optimistic rollups, as you might all of us know, that they have a 7-day withdrawal period, right? Why? Because you need to give 7-day period for somebody to come and initiate that fraud, right? And once somebody has proven a fraud, then the rollup means that because all the data is on Ethereum, so you can take all the data and then recreate the version of the chain from the place and restart from the place where fraud has happened, right? That's how optimistic rollups work. How zk rollups work is, that's where the magic of zk comes in. The magic of zk is that you are running the same single or multi-operator chain on the layer 2, but you create a zk proof out of it, right? And that zk proof, these are called validity proofs. So you are not assuming that everything is correct. But this validity proof, using the power of zk, when you create and you submit on Ethereum, and on Ethereum you have some logic which verifies the proof. And if the proof is correct, that's the magic. If some engineers are listening to it, they will realize that, okay, how profound this is, that you are computing some computation on the other side without telling how you are computing, without even sending the transaction data. What is the transaction data? You just submit a proof, cryptographic proof, small proof for 40 bytes of data and all that, and you proof on Ethereum, and using a verifier logic, Ethereum can be 100% sure that whatever you computed is correct, right? It's like Mehdi and I are going into a very complex transaction where we say, okay, if you do this, if you do this, like 5-6 steps, I will pay you this much money, right? And we are submitting something to Mohamed, where Mohamed knows that, okay, this was the input money into this, output is this. I don't know how you guys calculated it. You have no visibility, but you can say your transaction is correct. You getting my point? Like, it's again like going to a court with a judge, and you just tell them that, guys, we were 2 friends, and one friend ended up let's say killing other friend, and the judge can say, guys, whatever it is, you had this clause that if something happens, the other person is allowed to kill. Like, he doesn't need to know what was the contract in between them. He just knows that if this is the input, this is the output, it's correct. So that's why it's very profound. Like, I can go on and on about that how crazy this thing is. It almost looks like a matrix coming straight out of Matrix. But anyways, but how zk rollups are better than optimistic rollup is that once the validity proof has been accepted by Ethereum, then everything is correct on this. And validity proof can be as small as every 2 minutes. So every 2 minutes, whatever the rollup is doing, it pushes the validity proof. Once it is done, everything is good. So you don't need that 7-day withdrawal period and all that. And 7-day withdrawal period looks small, but it's a very big problem, right? Because imagine if you are a large player and you have $100 million on a layer 2, stuck on a layer 2, and the risk-free rate in the market is 5%. Right, so you are essentially, out of $100 million, you are making $5 million just on the cost of capital on a yearly basis. And if you are stuck for 1 week, which is 1/50th of this, you almost end up like 100k. You almost end up losing 100k just because you are exiting from the bridge. With zk, that is like free flowing. We can have every 1 minute if the throughput is enough, and the cost of proof on Ethereum justifies it. You can have like the proofs like 1 minute. So whatever is happening on layer 2, it's almost instantaneously being sorted on or proved on Ethereum. So that's one part. Second fun part is that because the code doesn't need to know your entire data, code just needs the proof. I don't even need what data was used to use to solve this, then the data also you don't need to push on Ethereum. With optimistic rollups, you have to, because you are optimistically assuming everything is correct, so you have to put the proof and the data on optimistic rollup, so that something goes wrong, people can go through the data step by step and see whether you have done things correctly or not. But in zk, because it's the cryptographic proof, you don't even need the data, so you don't need to put all that data back on Ethereum. So that also saves you, because the data on Ethereum is costly. It's going to be costly. Even with 4844, it's going to be costly. So you can put that data on a separate layer. These are called validiums. So you can execute this chain. Data can be on a cheap data storage. You produce data or do high level of transactions, low cost transactions, highly secure transactions secured by Ethereum, and you keep the data somewhere else. That is also can be done with zk proof. That's why everybody in the research fraternity believes that for ultimate scalability of Web3 or crypto or blockchains, zk is the holy grail. And that's why Polygon zkEVM is the first full-blown EVM zk execution machine built on tip of Ethereum. And that's why many believe that this is the inflection point in the scalability of blockchains.
So the multiple other competitors, right, that they're also working on that, like MetaLab is also working on this, Scroll, at least theoretically, is also working on this. So technically, apart from the network effects, how would you say Polygon is differentiated from these solutions?
Yes. So I think in the longer run, all of these technologies are commoditized. Everyone starts approaching one single layer of, single point of optimization. These technologies get commoditized. I think in this one, 2-3 things are main. One is obviously that the time to market. So Polygon, because Polygon had 3 different teams who are working on 3 different approaches of zk, we were able to kind of bring in these solutions from separate areas and all that, and make it much more efficient and faster, and ship it faster, right? So for example, you specifically asked about zkEVM or zk Sync. For example, zk Sync is building their zk chain zkEVM for I think last 3 to 4 years, and even now they had said 100 days to mainnet, but now they have again pushed it to the end of this year, because it's very hard to build. And for us, we have been very lucky that we had 3 different teams working from 3 different angles. That's what defined Polygon. And so that's why zk Sync is probably 6 to 8 months away from a full-blown mainnet. We are going on beta mainnet, and you must have seen the zk Sync baby alpha mainnet, all that they're trying to do to tell people that no, we are on mainnet, but don't use it, or this is not tested or anything. And plus other thing is that right now they have none of their source code open, right? We have Polygon has all the source code as open. Licensing, we have deliberately kept it it's not free licensing for everyone. We'll soon make it that, but we want to make sure that we have that head start, because easily everybody clearly knows that this is the most advanced zkEVM. Everybody will simply copy the code and go ahead. So slowly, right now we are fully committed to open sourcing and giving licenses, but it will happen in a step by step manner. But our source code is fully visible for last 6-8 months, and people can use it, build on it, put PRs. That's one important part. And our zkEVM is ready today, right? Internal, it's ready today for us, and it's going live on the mainnet, beta mainnet very, very shortly. So that's the most important part. Time to market is the most important part. But with zk Sync, I already said nobody really knows, and they have been doing it from the very start. So all the respect to them, but they have no source code publicly yet, so nobody knows what exactly they are building. And in these kind of technologies, it's very, very important to for the community to know what approach you are taking, and debate it and all that. And Polygon approaches debate it fully. With Scroll is building in open, and what the Scroll's approach is that they want to build point by point the entire EVM into a zk based EVM, right? The problem with that is and not problem, one of the things that it has is that this makes the project very, very big. So for example, Scroll has currently I think 35,000 lines of code. Even Vitalik in his presentation, I think in DevCon, he said that 35,000 lines of code is such a big code base that it is going to take years for this code base to be fully audited and tested. Whereas like Polygon source code would be like $3,000, $4,000, 3,000, 5,000 lines of source code. That too open for quite some time and all that. Now 2 audits. But again, nobody can fully guarantee. I'm not saying that Polygon zkEVM is like fully, like ZK is like such a new technology. But I think like, if somebody has the chance to become more, create a decentralized ZK rollup, I think Polygon is much, much farther ahead, at least 6 to 8 to 10 months. And I think with the level of now, all of these things, technology on top of technology, you add the adoption Polygon has. Suddenly, like once we have a zkEVM and we are fully like, it's like a little bit battle tested and all that. And the moment I turn the, we turn the hose on, right? Like, and we allow the people, or like we start pushing the people into this will become the most adopted blockchain. Like Polygon today is like, just below BSC number of users, daily active users, TVL, all those things. We are probably the biggest, right? So after Ethereum, and BSC of course has Binance, users, 30 million users. So obviously they will have more. But if you see the public, open, decentralized blockchains, you will see after Ethereum, Polygon is the biggest. So they're also like on adoption front and all that, we'll have a much bigger advantage compared to these people. So that's where these are the things like, I think, we will keep Polygon in the front lead.
You also mentioned earlier Polygon Supernet. So just wanted to, like, I was curious, how is it different from, let's say, Cosmos or Avalanche? Because you can have like app specific chain. And since you also have a portfolio of different L2 solution, including the POS chain, how would the bridging work? Like, are you guys also working on a bridging solution internally, or So all of those
absolutely, yeah. So that's a great question. So the Supernets, as I said, is like Appchains, zkEVM and all that. These are public chains, but you can use the same technology to create your app chains. So these are full blown Polygon app chains. How they are different? They are different because unlike Cosmos, they are not layer ones, because it's very, very, very hard to build your own layer one and decentralize it. Second, they are Avalanche. They are not some subnet to, like, you need layer twos for when a layer one is adopted enough, right? And in case of Avalanche, they are like leapfrogging into this subnet model where their base chains still is questionable how many users and this thing they have. So, and essentially one can also argue all the Avalanche subnets are technically just side chains. That Ethereum has like 50 side chains today. Like all of those chains are just connected with, I think they right now, I don't even know fully, I've not studied, but I think the model says that like 20% of these chains have to be validators on the main chain or something like that, or the validators of this chain have to be validator on the main chain and all that, which I don't know how scalable that is. And in terms of security of these subnets, I have not studied it that much, but doesn't look like, from what I have seen, from what in the Polkadot ecosystem and this and that, doesn't feel like, it is the thing which will bring in. Whereas because all of the development is on Ethereum and developers want to build on Ethereum, people like I've been very forthcoming on this in saying that, you think that Polygon has so many big brands like, Instagram, Reddit launching, Starbucks to Nike to whatever. The main thing, they are not on Polygon for Polygon. They are here because they want to be closer to Ethereum ecosystem, and Polygon is the most professional production ready ecosystem they find for their Web3 activities, right? So that's where Avalanche subnet is like, whatever they are building, kudos to them, respect to them, they are building. But I feel the adoption is on Ethereum, and Polygon app chains are going to be Ethereum connected chains, like layer 2 chains, and we expect all of them to be layer 2 chains, but we will also allow developers to choose as per their journey. But we expect them, as any of the chain grows enough, they all should become layer 2s. That's how Polygon app chains are different. Polygon app chains are Ethereum layer 2 chains.
So Sandeep, with that in mind, and I guess moving slightly away from the crypto layer and more onto the Web3 layer, we've seen a rise in Polygon NFTs. And again, you've mentioned Reddit, you've mentioned Starbucks, you mentioned a few of the other big brands as well. What do you think contributes to the different network effects within that, and also within a lot of the gaming that you're doing?
Yeah. So on that front, like I think, especially let me talk about the PFP NFTs. See, if you see any other field, like whether it's DeFi, whether it's gaming, whether it's DAOs, whether it's like any other brands, Polygon is generally will be one of the top two players in whatever field it is. Like DeFi after Ethereum, next biggest platform. Arbitrum, by the way, is doing good on the DeFi part, and they have an expected airdrop and all that. So there is activity, but once it goes through, then how much organic activity we see. But point being that in whatever field Polygon is always the either the number one, number two, number three, top three players in the space. With PFP NFTs, I personally, it's my fault also, because being someone who's like helping community to grow into various different ecosystems. I never believed in the purely speculative PFP NFTs, right, or these art NFTs. I was like, okay, they will have a market, but not like not the whole market is going to be like this. The whole market will move into the utility NFTs, gaming, celebrities, and these platforms and whatnot. But then I was wrong, because in the last 2 years, what like PFP NFTs or these like collectible NFTs have proven to be one of the true product market fits. Say what you want to say about it, but they have a strong product market fit. Users are there, community is there. And then this November, I finally gave in and I said, okay, guys, I think we need to work on the PFT community. And it's been only 2 months, and now you see like what all is happening on the PFP community. Like everything is like so many things are happening on this front, and those creators and all that. Because I think where I was wrong is that these creators and these misfits, these people who want to change the world, these are the people who are going to be the first adopters, and they are going to be the core nucleus of this adoption whenever that happens. And that's one part I should have added to that. Like even though it's a like slightly speculative use case sometimes, but this is loved by these core kind of these people who really change the world, the misfits, as Steve Jobs used to say, the courageous ones, the misfits, the rebels. And who am I to resist their onslaught? And that's why like I just started putting in some efforts, and it looks like now it's huge. Like this PFP community is going crazy. So that was your first question. But what was the next question, Mehdi?
I think Mo was also asking you about the examples of some of the app chains, like currently live on Supernet.
Yeah, so the app chain, see, one of the app chains is, and it's very famous, is the Doge chain, like built by the Doge community. But all of the other bigger app chains, like we are like many of the big firms are building that, and many of them are like under embargo. They want to announce their things, but I think we have around 30-40, like some of the largest institutions in the world, like I don't know, like what kind of NDA things are there, but you would also see one of the biggest CRM companies doing a lot of NFTs and all that. Those are also powered by Polygon technology. But everybody is there in their own kind of journey, like especially from the Web2 world and the traditional world, to figure out where they can fit in, right? Because this is the Wild West, and they want to be, they know this school, this is coming, this is the next big thing, but they want to do it and time it in a way. So I don't want to steal their thunder. You just wait for this the Q1 and Q2s of this one. You will see what all is happening over there.
This may and may not be an alpha.
But maybe I'm like yeah. The crypto is full of scammers, right? So don't go by my words. Like wait till the time those announcements come in.
So Sandeep, our bread and butter, me and Mo, we dream about tokenomics all day, day in and day out. So one question we had for you was regarding the utility of MATIC token. Since you have a diversified product portfolio, there'll be like 6-7 solution, maybe 100 solution one day. So with that one token, the MATIC token, unify all of these products.
Absolutely. MATIC token is the only token in this one. And also, like, this is one part, like, and maybe you guys will also, push this more, because this whole crypto community, we come from this Bitcoin background, right? And we have this tendency to think about these tokens as the token supply and demand, like or scarcity of the token and whatnot, right? And all that is applicable only to money, and money can be only one. Like, we're in crypto space, like globally it's US dollar currently. If crypto wants to be that, there will be, and at the end it will be either BTC or ETH. None of the other protocols is money. So all this like inflationary, deflationary, all this kind of like, supply, increasing supply, burning supply, staking, whatnot, all this is like synthetic maneuvers to, for some people to pump their tokens and whatnot. Eventually there is only one thing, there is only one and only one thing which gives value to anything other than BTC, which is trying to be money. And that is simple, and that is true for the last 200 years. That thing is called revenue. How much revenue which is related to that particular asset you are making, right? There is nothing else. Like, for example, stock markets, how much money, revenue, profits a particular chain is making, or particular company is making, reflects directly into their stock price, because it's a money making machine at the end, and you own some part of that stock. You do it. Same case applies with this. Even though like right now we don't have a clarity on like security versus non-security versus utility and whatnot, but even if it's a utility, at the end of the day, how much revenue you can make by doing some work, not like sitting idle, that's a security. But if you can do some small work, like you can stake or delegate by choosing carefully a validator, how much yield you can make is the only thing that defines you the value. Now for Ethereum, for example, last year Ethereum the fees has come down to I think $1 billion or something, 1.5 billion. But like last year, Ethereum generated $7 billion in transaction fees, right? And I mean, okay, that was the proof of work. That is bad. Like, let me consider this $1 billion transaction fees. So if you are a Ethereum holder and you stake your money into Ethereum, and I'm not even talking about the block rewards, because that's a subsidy that system is giving you to keep the security high, but the transaction fees. So how much yield people are going to make, that defines you the value, right? So if Ethereum is able to give you $1 billion in yield, and you consider 5% is a good rate of return, plus they have the token issuance also. I think the token issuance somewhere around is like maybe, I don't know, in the billions. But with the current Ethereum staking, which is roughly around 50% of the network, which is around $80 billion, people are able to make 6-7% yield. So roughly it should be around 4 to 5 B dollars worth of yield that is being created. And that's what gives the value to the token. Similarly, in the case of Polygon or MATIC token, there should be only one thing. Doesn't matter if it's 10 chain, 15 chains, 0 chains, doesn't matter. What is the yield if you hold MATIC and you do work? And this also doesn't matter how many brands are building on it. How much is the TVL? People like over-index on TVL. Like, for example, if you see, like, again, like naming the platforms is hard, but I want to say, like, some of the main alt L1, right? Which is like was supposed to be Ethereum killer and all that. If you see, even if like the NFT volume is $2 million NFT volume is there, how many people? But what is the revenue of the protocol? How much transaction fees protocol is making for doing those 2 million worth of NFT volumes? There would be like how much, like 20,000 transactions, 30,000 transactions, which is giving you 0.005. So the token holder of that alt L1, for them, that's only the fees. And if you see, that L1 is like, supposed to be Ethereum clear, but they are in the protocol fees, they're like way below, in that league. So the revenue is the most important thing. And for MATIC, at the end, what defines the value of MATIC? Like, first of all, MATIC is the underlying asset, staking asset of all the things that Polygon is building. And at the end of the day, if you are a MATIC holder and you have to do some work for the network, whether you run a validator node or something, you can earn some yield out of that. And that's what is the only thing that defines the yield of the token. Now, when we try to define the token metrics of games and all that, at the end, if you say, like, what we end up doing is, okay, you use this token to create this NFT gets locked or burnt and whatnot. All that is synthetic. You can use them as a thing on top of it. But on the base layer, what that token, if that's a games token or that's the gaming publisher's token, how much revenue that token is able to make, right? And that would be like, this token becomes a DAO token, and the whatever revenue the protocol or the game is making, that is going into the DAO, and that revenue is being held or governed by the DAO holders. Although again, like, these are security laws and these three kind of problems, I'm not getting into that.
Yeah,
but
everything I do have a question on token metrics. So at the moment, if I go on CoinGecko, 90%, around 90% of MATIC tokens are in circulation.
Yes.
So the 10% will come into circulation in a couple of years,
yes,
depending on vesting.
Yes.
But we do have 7 or 8 products that will be coming yes. into the market in few months, few years. So in terms of a sequencer reward or validator reward, could we imagine the inflation tab to be turned on just to kind of give them incentive to do the compute, to secure the network? Yes. Do you kind of envision that to happen?
I think because, Polygon, this current tokenomics, because we are due for the Polygon token very soon. And the current tokenomics is built keeping one chain in mind, right? That there will be one chain. And for, when we are becoming truly multi-chain now, we will have to do something which allows the people or the validators to have some level of security, but it has to be like Ethereum, where there is net inflation is almost zero over time, right? So we don't want to, like, that's what is being, community is debating, a lot of researchers are debating, like, nothing is set in stone on that. But I think what we need to do is, there needs to be some security. We don't want to get into the Bitcoin mode where after 4, 5, 8 years, there is nothing to secure the network, and transaction fees are anyways not there because it's not a mode of payment. But you need to have something like Ethereum where effectively it's almost zero inflation or almost deflationary. That's what we want to design, just like Ethereum, right? Like, there is some reward, but overall, with the burning and all that, the network, in first year itself, it became effectively deflationary. That's where, that's where our mind is to make it.
And do you guys have plans for on-chain governance? There aren't that many L2s, L1s that have that. Optimism comes to mind. Polkadot also has some.
No, definitely. And that's where the layer 2 chains are very superior, I feel. Because you can actually govern a lot of things on the chain by governance. For all the other, like, layer 1s, if they need to change, they have to go through the soft fork or hard fork, right? But with the layer 2s, you can have a simple smart contract where people vote how much fees should be there. Should we donate this fees to the foundation? Should we donate this fees to the builders that are building in the ecosystem? All these things can be done on the governance level. And you're absolutely right on that. Yeah. So there'll be like massive levels of token governance. You'll see, like, this 2023 is going to be the year of inflection for us, where we stop being like this, like, this Polygon labs and all that. We are putting in our maximum effort. There is communities putting this many efforts. We want to go into, like, Ethereum, for example, Ethereum Foundation does like 5 to 10%, 20% of the work. 80% is done by the community. Like, we would be on the reverse side, like 70-80% we are doing, 20% is community doing. We want to reach to a place where we build it in the open, build it in a way where community takes on the larger part of this and we takes on this, but it has to be different, built in a different way. So on-chain governance is going to be very important, and you will see so many things coming out from us in this new year.
I think we've gone into a lot of detail on a lot of subjects, and I guess to bring it back up to a more holistic level and something maybe a bit more personal to you, what's your favorite application or dApp being built on Polygon right now? Of what you can actually mention.
But being built is being built. There are 2, 3. One, obviously, because, take this thing with a pinch of salt, because, I have family members who are working in the team, but, my wife is a co-founder in the project called TimeSwap, right? And TimeSwap is a project which is basically building a fully permissionless lending borrowing protocol. Like, just like you have Uniswap, any token can get listed and you can have lending borrowing for that. They are trying to build that without oracles. Like, the other current ones, you have to have oracles, and sometimes oracles are congested and you can't do the liquidations and whatnot. Here, they are trying to build a market-defined AMM, Like instead of XYZ, there's a XYZ, X into Y equals to K. They have 3 parameters, and markets decide that what is the collateral factor, what is that. So that's one of the interesting projects in in this thing. Then on the NFT side, what youths people are doing, like Frank from DGods and all that, they are building a launch pad on Polygon, where people will come and like where they will help creators to launch their NFT collections and all that. That's what also I am very interested. Some of the things like what Nike swoosh is working on, like the kind of things, like they initially launched the NFTs, now they are getting into the engagement part, and Nike is probably arguably the biggest brand in the world, so I'm very, very optimistic that they end up cracking this. And this is, like, by the way, the most interesting part. Like, some people in the past have tried to spread this Polygon is paying for the adoption and all that, right? We don't even know that Nike was building it. Like, we have no connection. And this is the best meme for Polygon, like, because what is happening is, because of this meme, a lot of people who are not like, who are going to build somewhere else, they come to us because they think that we can pay something, and then they come and there's not too much to pay. And and many of the times, like, out of those 10 people, 3 or 4 just get converted because they think that they can get better support from the Polygon team and advice and all that. So that's the fun part. So this, and Nike swoosh is very interesting for me. What Starbucks is trying to do, I want Polygon to get into this like larger Western culture, and that's why these like Starbucks, for example, and there are some more that will come. These are specifically focused on getting into the larger US culture, not the existing Wild West NFT and this crypto culture, but the larger culture where Polygon can become an integral part. That's what we are trying to do.
I love it. I mean, just some takeaways from there that stood out to me is, behind every great man is a great woman. So that definitely stood out. Also, there is no such thing as negative hype, because if there was, people wouldn't be building on Polygon.
It always, I mean, I was pissed. I responded. I should not have responded to those people. Like, I should have said, like, yeah, do it. Like, yeah, say it. Now everybody, the whole, like, our inbound is like through the roof. Like, we have no time. Everybody's inundated with work. And then I think that for me, in my case, it's like very, very true. Like, I almost have said that, I felt that before I met my wife, I was like kind of low key. I consider myself a loser before I met her. And, there's all of this is like her, kind of good vibes or whatever it is. So yeah, I fully agree with that. There's the women.
I love it. It's finding your soul partner, not just in the real world, but in this wild west of crypto and Web3 as well.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. And again, you alluded to this, but what is some of the secret sauce behind, like, the BD strategy you guys have adopted for onboarding Web2 companies? So we heard Nike were building, and then you found out afterwards. Maybe what about some of the other bigger brands that have adopted Polygon as well?
Yeah. See, it's a both push and pull. Like Nike, for example, we did not know, but some of the other brands, we were like very constantly in touch with them and all that. And previously, I think it was more about like the kind of adoption Polygon was getting. And then after that, what happened is that now we have a very, very professional team also, because I have been like, I come from a place where I want to see that mainstream adoption. Like, mass adoption of Web3 is the mission of my life, right? So over time, I've built this killer team, which is very like, who have one foot in the Web3 Wild West, but they also come from these Facebooks, Googles, YouTubes of the world. So when they talk to these big, large institutions, like, brands and all that, the brands can see that these people understand Web3, but they also understand my language, right? Because they have their constraints. Like, they can't be coming and, like, pumping the floor price of these things and whatnot, like sweeping talking about all this stuff. They have to do it in a very compliant and all that manner. I think that's where they feel close to us. And like, that's why I keep saying that, because we have done so many brands, but people always tend to forget that we own 60% of the entire gaming market, right? 60% is like, if you go to a survey, and I think Animoca, can, obviously, ratify that. Like, you speak to 10, 15 different teams, take random samples, you will end up finding that 50 to 60% of all the games that are building on Polygon, right? Integrated with Polygon. So that's very big. DeFi, as I said, that without any incentives for last 1.5 years, we are still the second largest platform. Even with all this current hype that Arbitrum has got, Optimism is doing those rewards and all that, we are still ahead of them in terms of TVL, in terms of DEX volumes and whatnot. And same goes with other things like DAOs, for example. We are orders of magnitude bigger. So even though it might look like Polygon BD is really great at getting these Web2 projects, but we have a deep this entrenchment into the community where so many projects build with us, and we try to help them also.
I love it. So a mix of everything, really, which is amazing. And which is needed. So we've reached my favorite part of the show, which is the rapid fire questions. So I'm gonna shoot a few questions at you, again one at a time, and then just hit me with the first thing that comes to mind. Things that annoy you in crypto.
Scams. No, trolls.
Trolls. Okay. So trolls and scams. All right, we'll take that. The last thing you Googled.
Trolls and scams. And yes, the scam trolls, because the people who want to, who have become like little bit of influential, they have audience, and what they do is they will try to promote some of the scams to get their exit liquidity. Those are the people I hate the most.
It's so true. Like, you see them disappear every cycle. They'll come, they'll make their millions, and then they're gone for the next cycle. Next question. What was the last thing you Googled?
ChatGPT. Something on ChatGPT. But I'm not, actually, I should say that I'm not even Googling these days. I am Googling on ChatGPT. If I want to ask something, I go to ChatGPT and ask.
So I'm still waiting for an account, which is super annoying, but we can discuss that off air. Blue ocean, red ocean.
Blue ocean.
I love it. It took you a while to get there. I'm a bit worried now, Sandeep. Should we be worried?
Yeah. Because to be honest, I don't want to boast this part, but I am Polygon is considered to be king of red ocean also. Right. So, but we want to be in the blue oceans, but the red ocean is where everybody else is there. We have been there, and we have, kind of secured the fair amount of adoption in those fronts. That's why. But we want to be in blue ocean, of course.
What would be the second best ecosystem to work on if you didn't work on the Ethereum ecosystem?
Cosmos. And
if you start as an entrepreneur new in the space, what would you be working on?
Cross-chain bridging.
So again, the interoperability layer.
And now maybe if you ask me this same question 1 year later on, I would be working on some sort of social media on blockchain. So but right now it's not the right time. 1 year it will be.
Fair play. It's a time dependent question. Would you prefer better tech or better network effect?
Better network effect.
DAOs, are they the future or just another buzzword in crypto?
They are the future of not only crypto, but future of humanity.
I love it. It's interesting. Internally, we have, or at least I have, a belief that at some point in the future, the DAOs you're a part of will hold more weight than the passport you hold. But let's see what happens. Excellent. Sandeep, it's been a pleasure having you with us on the show. You can't, again, Mehdi and myself were super excited. You saw the feedback from Twitter as well. Any last comments or words, or alpha or beta?
Let's keep building. That's what I always say.
I love it.
LFG. Far away from the mass adoption. Let's keep building.
LFG. Let's do it.
Awesome, guys.
Perfect. Thank you.
This podcast is for information purposes only and should not be considered as financial advice. Any opinions provided in this podcast reflect the views of the speakers only.